In my early 20s, like many hopeful romantics, I joined a dating app hoping to find true love. After scrolling through profiles, I came across a girl, let's call her Sally, who claimed to live in my hometown. Sally seemed normal at first, with similar interests in books and music. We hit it off, even though she didn't match my usual preferences in looks. But looking back, that was a warning sign. Turns out, appearances matter, not in a supermodel way, but in a basic, down-to-earth sense. Ignoring the fact that she seemed to neglect personal hygiene was a mistake. There's a big difference between not having a good sense of style and giving off a vibe that something's not right. If your gut tells you something's off about someone's picture on a dating app, listen to it. It's usually just the beginning of the problems. Despite the weird signs, we got along well. Sally was cheerful and smart. We had fun on our first dates, talking about movies and dreams. But within 2 days, things took a strange turn. We were on a bus to a summer festival, and she gave me a present too soon for that kind of thing. Then came the big reveal. Sally already had a boyfriend. I found out when he called her, and she admitted it. More red flags than I could count. She gave all sorts of excuses, but I believed her. It only got worse from there. She went from being nice to a complete disaster. Arguments, crying, fake pregnancies, and even trips to the emergency room. She used every trick to keep me around. My life went from normal to a horror movie. It took me years to realize I shouldn't waste my time on such a crazy person. This experience taught me to trust my gut. If I could go back, I'd tell myself to run away that night. My name is Emily, and I've always been a hopeless romantic at heart. After a string of bad dates and failed relationships, I decided to try my luck on dating apps. That's when I came across Tinder, the holy grail of modern dating. Everyone seemed to have a success story from it, so I thought, why not give it a shot? I swiped left and right, going through countless profiles until finally I came across Max. His profile picture was captivating, and his bio intrigued me. It said, "Love to travel, try new cuisines, and explore the mysteries of the world." It was like reading my own mind, so I immediately swiped right. To my delight, we matched and started chatting. Max and I hit it off instantly. Our conversations were filled with laughter, and we had so much in common. He was a traveler just like me, and we bonded over our love for hiking and trying exotic foods. It felt like we were made for each other, and I couldn't wait to meet him in person. We decided to meet at a quaint little coffee shop in the city. As I got ready, I felt a tingling excitement in my stomach. This could be it, the start of something special. I arrived at the coffee shop and spotted Max sitting at a table with a drink in hand. My heart fluttered as I made my way towards him. But as soon as I sat down, I couldn't shake off the feeling of uneasiness that washed over me. Max's demeanor was different from what I had gathered through our conversations. He seemed distant, and there was something off about him. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe he was just nervous, but I couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt, and we continued our date. But as the night progressed, Max's behavior became more and more unsettling. He would make strange comments, asking me personal questions and not respecting my boundaries. It was like he was a completely different person from the one I had been talking to. I was about to call it a night and leave when Max suggested we take a walk in the nearby park. Against my better judgment, I agreed and followed him. As we walked deeper into the park, I started to get a bad feeling. I stopped in my tracks when Max pulled out a knife and pointed it towards me, a sinister grin on his face. My heart raced and panic set in as I realized I was in danger. I tried to run, but Max caught me and dragged me into the bushes. I fought with all my strength, screaming for help, but no one could hear me. In that moment, I thought I was going to die. But just when I had accepted my fate, a group of people passing by heard my screams and rushed to my rescue. They called the police and Max was arrested. It turns out he had a history of violence and had used Tinder to lure and harm unsuspecting women. As I sat in the police station, shaken and traumatized, I realized how close I had come to being another one of Max's victims. My Tinder experience had turned into a horror story, but I was lucky enough to escape with my life. From that day on, I deleted all my dating apps and promised myself to be more cautious in the future. You never truly know a person until you meet them in person, and sometimes the dangers of online dating can be more terrifying than we ever imagined. As a 30-year-old single man living in a busy city, I decided to give online dating a try. After hearing about the popular app Tinder from my friends, I finally gave in and created a profile. Little did I know that this decision would lead me into a terrifying and unforgettable experience. After swiping left and right for a few weeks, I matched with a girl named Lily. She had beautiful green eyes, a charming smile, and seemed to have a great sense of humor. We quickly hit it off and decided to meet for a date at a cozy cafe. Excited and nervous at the same time, I arrived at the cafe dressed in my best outfit. As I walked in, I spotted her sitting at a table, looking even more stunning in person. She greeted me with a warm hug and we immediately hit it off. Our conversation flowed effortlessly as we bonded over our love for hiking and travel. As the night went on, I couldn't help but feel a strong connection with Lily. When she suggested we take a walk in the nearby park, I happily agreed. It was a beautiful night, and the park was lit up with fairy lights, making it a perfect romantic setting. But as we were walking, I noticed a strange glint in Lily's eyes. She suddenly started talking about her ex-boyfriend and how he had wronged her. I started to feel a bit uncomfortable, especially when she pulled out a knife from her purse and started playing with it. My heart raced as I tried to brush it off, thinking that she was just trying to be funny. But things took a turn for the worse when she suddenly turned towards me with a menacing look in her eyes. Before I could react, she lunged towards me with the knife, aiming for my throat. Instinctively, I pushed her away and ran as fast as I could. I could hear her screaming behind me, but I didn't dare turn back to look. I ran until I reached a busy street and hailed a cab to get away from her as quickly as possible. Trembling with fear and adrenaline, I got back home and immediately deleted my Tinder account. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I had always heard about the dangers of online dating, but I never thought it could happen to me. A few days later, I saw a news report about a woman wielding a knife and attacking men she met on dating apps. It was then that I realized I narrowly escaped a serious danger and shuddered at the thought of what could have happened. That experience made me swear off online dating forever. I learned my lesson the hard way and decided to stick to traditional methods of finding love. But till date, I can't help but feel a chill down my spine whenever I think about that horrific Tinder date. My name is Sarah, and I never thought I would be back on the dating scene at the age of 42. After my divorce, I was determined to focus on myself and my 2 kids, but a year down the line, I found myself wanting companionship again. That's when I turned to Tinder. At first, it was exciting, swiping through profiles, chatting with different men, and even going on a few dates. But as a divorced woman, I soon realized that the dating world had changed a lot since I was last single. One night, I matched with a man named Mark. He was charming, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in me. We chatted for a few days before he asked me out for dinner. I was hesitant at first, but decided to give it a chance. As soon as I arrived at the restaurant, I regretted my decision. Mark looked nothing like his pictures, and he seemed to be a lot older than he claimed to be. But I didn't want to be rude, so I sat through the date, trying to make the best of the situation. However, as the night went on, things took a dark turn. Mark started talking about his ex-wife and their bitter divorce. He blamed her for everything that went wrong in their marriage and even accused her of cheating on him. I was uncomfortable, but I didn't want to be judgmental, so I tried to steer the conversation in a different direction. But Mark wasn't letting go of his anger towards his ex-wife. He became increasingly agitated and started to shout. I quickly paid for my portion of the bill and left, feeling scared and shaken. I thought that would be the last I saw of Mark, but I was wrong. He began to bombard me with messages, asking why I left and demanding another chance. I tried to politely decline, but his messages turned abusive, calling me names and threatening to harm me if I didn't give him another chance. I blocked him on Tinder, but he found my social media accounts and started messaging me there. He even went as far as showing up at my workplace and leaving gifts, claiming to be sorry for his behavior. I was terrified and called the police, who were able to intervene and get Mark to leave me alone. It was a scary experience, and it made me realize the dangers of online dating. I deleted my Tinder account and vowed to find love the old-fashioned way. Looking back, I'm grateful that I was able to get out of that situation before things got worse. It's a lesson I'll never forget, and I hope my story serves as a warning to others about the potential horrors of online dating.